Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Flying Fullbacks podcast. And today we'll be talking about the Euros, more specifically the Euro 2020. I don't know why it's still being called that. But anyway, we'll be talking about who we think are the favorites to win it. So, Asitwa, according to you, which team is the favorite for the competition?
I think it's England in my opinion. It's no doubts about it. The sheer quality in that squad is ridiculous. Like, even we all know France has a very good squad. It's no doubts about it. But the sheer abundance of talent and the fact that the sheer abundance of young talent is just unparalleled. I think France and Portugal come very close in overall squad and how balanced the squad is. But I think England are just too strong in the moment, and especially the young players like Mason Mount and Phil Foden and Marcus Rashford can be a huge uh, deal maker or breaker for England in the Euros. I mean, players like Kane are there who are going to perform, but the stepping of players like Phil Foden and the Mount to this kind of level is going to be one to watch out for.
Yeah, so talking about Kane, he's having such a great season. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate that he still hasn't won any trophies in his career. And we were just talking about that offline about how I mean, it's probably going to be a hindrance when people look back on his career. He had a chance to win the League Cup. I mean, I know it's not that big a cup, but still, he had a chance to win at least something, and they choked it. So, how big of a problem do you think it will be in terms of? And okay, you know what? Forget that. Tell me, if they do win the Euros with Kane as their leader, how big of a boost will that be for his CV?
I think it's not going to be a boost for CV. It's the only thing in his CV. It's not a boost. It's the only thing. And we all seen we have all seen that meme of Michael Jordan crying with that Super Bowl kind of thing. Not Super Bowl, the NBA thing. Super
Yeah.
Bowl. Sorry to my American fans. Uh, the ending is going to be the same scene that he will be definitely crying with that, and I think it will also motivate him for the fact that he has to move on from Tottenham. He can't be sitting around and waiting around because he's 27, I guess, right now. So he can he's entering his prime years. We have seen this year that he is hitting his prime stride. So he can't wait around and wait for Tottenham to do something because I think the peak of Tottenham has gone. That peak of 2016-17, that whole front four players of Eriksen, Dele Alli, Son, Kane,
Yeah.
and this backline of uh, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Trippier, and all those kind of players has, I think, passed on. So Tottenham are a definitely team in decline, and his best shot to glory was the Champions League final in 2019, which again this paused it. So I think it's going to be a huge deal for him. But coming back to this England team, I the biggest thing for me right now is that unlike previous years when they had good players, but they were not tested at the biggest level. Right now, you have players who are playing at the biggest level possible and who are playing in the top level of Champions League in and out. And the biggest strength under the Southgate of this team is it is working as a cohesive unit. All this we have all seen Gary Neville passionately talk about how the earlier England teams were not cohesive unit. They had this club rivalry still going on while they were representing the national team. I think that all is gone. So when they represent England, they are representing England. It's not about this players from Manchester City. He's from United. He's from Liverpool. He's from Aston Villa. He's from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So also the fact that now there's a bunch of players like Sancho and all who are playing outside of England also,
Yeah, that probably
and I
also has
think
a.
that also brings something else
Mhm.
in my opinion, because otherwise previous teams all used to have everything from Premier League, Premier League, Premier League.
No, no, just a
Now they
few years
have.
ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, before the emergence of Sancho, I could not think of a single player in the England squad. I don't think there was a single player in the England squad who played outside of the Premier League.
In the World Cup, they didn't had a single player who were
Yeah,
outside
exactly.
playing.
And that was just 3 years ago, yeah.
Every yeah. So apart from Saudi and this, I think England, nobody had a 100% homegrown team. Only these two were representing. So that's has been an issue. But I think this team can take the next leap of faith, as you may say.
Yeah. And
So
another player who I think can have a good season, as you might be seeing on your screens right now, is Marcus Rashford. He is having a season which is excellent, and it's kind of gone under the radar. He has some, yeah, 20 goals and 15 assists this season. That's pretty ridiculous. I think this is his best season in terms of stats, and it's gone under the radar a bit.
that's also due to the fact that Bruno has emerged as the absolute leader for Man U. So and his stats are even better than Rashford. So I think
Yeah,
that's one of the main reasons.
yeah.
Also the fact that Rashford has been a bit on and off. He's not been consistent enough.
He also
He had
struggled
some
with a few
niggles
injuries, also.
that also, and also his off the field things are way more
Mm-hmm.
important right now in media, for media especially, than his on field performance. Because I
Yeah,
think that can be a real reason.
true. So now, we'll come to the team who I think are the favorites. And you already mentioned Bruno. And I think Bruno's Portugal are the favorites for the competition. So,
First
Portugal.
of all, it's not Bruno's Portugal, it's Ronaldo's Portugal. You
Yeah.
can't make that kind of
No, no,
offensive
no. You're
statements in
right.
public.
You're right. You're right. It
It's
is
Ronaldo's
Ronaldo's
Portugal.
Portugal. It is Ronaldo's Portugal. And in fact, Ronaldo's been having a fantastic season too. And we'll come to that. But before that, I mean, Portugal, when they won the Euros in 2016, it was an unlikely win. People weren't really expecting them to win. I think most people were thinking that France is going to win the competition. But Portugal won it. It was a great story. But now, this season, they go into the Euros, in my opinion, actually as favorites. The squad is outstanding. It is filled with talent. And players literally everywhere on the pitch, they have incredible players. They have great depth. And the first player that I want to talk about is Bruno. So, you all might know that, as Astitwa said, Bruno has been having an outstanding season, and he probably makes everyone's team of the season in the Premier League, probably in the Europa League as well. He's been playing so well. So this the stat that is on the screen right now is from a few days ago. That he has 19 goals and 12 assists. Now, those numbers are really really good. And when he signed for United last season in January, there were some questions about whether he'll be able to prove his worth, but instantly he made an incredible impact. And now I think we can consider United to be title challengers next season, and that's thanks in no small part to Bruno. What do you think, Asitwa?
Yeah, but you have greatly described how good he has been for Man U. But the bigger question right now is, has he has been able to replicate that kind of form for his national team, which he hasn't been. Clearly, there's some issue with the structure or the way the national team is playing because Bruno has not been able to replicate that kind of form. He has been a bit more conservative in his approach when he plays for the national team. Maybe the playing, the pressure for playing for the national team, maybe the fact that a much bigger player like Ronaldo is playing up top, which leads to the fact that he's not playing or deployed as a CAM, the proper CAM in that team. So it can be multiple factors, but the fact that since the last time they won that tournament, in I think it's been 5 years now, the crop of new young players that has emerged is outstanding. I mean, it's unlucky for Ronaldo that his entire career went between two golden generations because
Yeah,
the new generation that is coming in seems to be a
fantastic.
golden generation for
Yeah,
seems to be a golden generation for Portugal.
Joao
So it's a
Felix,
bit
Diego Jota, Renato Sanchez, Ruben Neves, and the next player that I want to talk about, Ruben Diaz. He has probably been
even Joao
this
Cancelo.
Joao Cancelo. I mean, he's not especially young, but yeah, I think he's definitely still in his prime. So,
Ruben Neves is no young, but you counted him in. He's
well,
almost
Ruben
30.
Neves is younger than Joao Cancelo. Anyway, that's not important. We're talking about Ruben Diaz, and I think a lot of players, including myself, and I think Asitwa, you too, considered Ruben Diaz to be the signing of the season. He has really taken City to the next level. We talked about this in an earlier video, but he has plugged the gap left by Vincent Company absolutely perfectly. Whether it's with Laporte or whether it's with John Stones, he has been a rock in defense. And kind
Okay,
of,
I
I
want
mean,
to apologize. First of
would it
all,
be too much if I said he's kind of like Van Dijk 2.0?
I want one correction. Ruben Neves is nowhere near 30. He's 24 only. I confused him with John Mourinho.
Okay, yeah, yeah, okay.
So, okay, my bad. Second of all, you're talking about him being Van Dijk 2.0. I mean, when Van Dijk came in, first of all, he didn't make this much of impact in his first 6 months. The impact was after the 6 months.
Mm,
Second of
I
all,
mean that's
when
arguable. Okay.
Van Dijk came in, he already had Premier League experience and he was way older than Ruben Diaz. Center backs, you can argue with the fact that midfielders or forwards are expected to flourish this much at such age. You can expect players like Mbappe and Haaland or anybody right now to be 23 and do so good. But for a center back at 23 to be so commanding, so composed, and such a brilliant player as a center back is just blowing on my mind right now.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Madrid fan, I have no idea that we had a chance to buy him, and we ensured. No offense to Militao, he has been great this season, but still, how the hell we didn't buy him? We were offered him, and we instead brought in Militao. But I mean, it just blows my mind. We could have a proper Ramos successor. Now we are stuck with Militao or whatever.
Militao. Yeah, I mean, can't imagine what it's like to be stuck with Eder Militao. Anyway, now we'll move on to the main man. I made this mistake earlier, I won't make it again. This is Cristiano's Portugal. Cristiano is the main man, no doubts about it.
It is
He,
has been for the last 15 years or so.
yeah. So just yesterday or day before yesterday, Ronaldo reached the 100 goal milestone for Juventus at the same time as Paulo Dybala. And I saw an interesting stat which said that when Ronaldo joined, Dybala had 68 goals for Juventus. Ronaldo obviously had zero. And now they both reached the 100 goal mark in the very same match. How ridiculous is that? I mean, he has 100 goals in 131 games. That those kind of numbers are just extraordinary, and I think we are kind of desensitized to it because we expect Cristiano to be the best in the world, definitely one of the two best in the world. But these numbers are they're not human. These are superhuman numbers.
Also, if you compare this to the fact that Mo Salah, which in his debut season for Liverpool broke the Premier League record for most goals in single season in a 20 team tournament, scored 100 goals for Liverpool in 159 matches. A peak Salah when he scored that kind of record for in Premier League, scored 100 goals in 159, and this passed his best, who's apparently by Italian media pulling the team down and whatnot, and he is in diva or whatever, is scoring 100 goals in 131 matches. I mean, give me a break. That he is the reason that Juventus is not performing. I mean, if you remove him, they are going to blow Roma, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's actually. I mean, I don't disagree with that.
And if they are clearly, I think a match or two is left for Juventus in this campaign. And if Ronaldo performs, then he performs, and Juve goes to UCL. If it doesn't, there's no way in hell that this team automatically goes to UCL without Ronaldo support.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not going to
even
happen by.
now they're not guaranteed. With Ronaldo, they're not guaranteed, or they're outside the
That
UCL
is
spots.
testament to the fact that how shit they have been. I mean, nobody can say a single standout player apart from Ronaldo. Their entire midfield has been so abysmal. And have you seen the clips of the defending? I mean, it's like they forgot defending. What is defending?
Yeah,
Apart from Delete, no defender can put their head up high. Even Delete has not been good. I'm just saying because okay, he has done something. Apart from him, no centre back in that team can say I know how to defend.
yeah.
Because
So
clearly they don't.
I just want to give a bit of credit to Federico Chiesa. I think he has been decent. He's not been excellent, but he has been decent for Juventus. Anyway,
Okay, he's
coming
young and
back to the
coming
topic.
player, so
Coming back to the topic,
yeah.
I think Ronaldo, Diaz, and Bruno Fernandes all they're three standout players, and I think they represent the quality that Portugal has. And this is why I think they have a well balanced team. Whether it's right back Cancelo, left back
Yeah.
Guerrero, it's a well balanced team, and I think they are the favorites for the Euros.
Also the fact that the talent is spread around all around.
Exactly, exactly. It's not
It's
concentrated
not
in
like
one place.
yeah, but I think the positions in which they don't have talent is like right back. Sorry, not right back, left back. Guerrero is a good left back, but he's still not up there.
Uh, I do
Especially this
consider
season,
him
he
to be
has
up
been
there, but okay. I mean,
no
he
no
definitely doesn't
this
have the
season he
star
has
power of the others. Yeah,
Also, the fact that this season he has not been good.
Okay, point taken. Point taken.
Also, Joao Felix, as much I like him, has not come good till now.
Yeah,
The breakout he has Benfica, he has not reached his potential. He has not reached to his 100 million tag price, which Ronaldo said that justifies for a stand-up player.
yeah,
Maybe he will down the line. Maybe he needs to change the scenario. Maybe he needs a better team,
yeah,
more attacking-minded team, in my opinion, to flourish.
yeah.
But as of now, I am picking England just because of the fact that every player, and the thing is, especially in the forward and the midfield, can be rotated, and you still have a equally same team, equally as good as same team.
Yeah, so
Only
that's an
Kane is
interesting take.
irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, every player can be replaced, and they can be still win the Euros.
That's an interesting take. So Astitwa clearly thinks that it's England who are the favorites. I think it's Portugal. Let us know who you think are the favorites down in the comments. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Flying Fullbacks podcast. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and share. And for more such content, subscribe to our YouTube channel.